Tonight, the White House says it is not in the auto business, but they just fired the head of General Motors and have come up with a plan to guarantee the warranty on new American cars. Now, it sounds like the president is angling for a new title. And that is our headline on this Monday night, day number 70 of radicalism you can believe in, Commander and CEO. Now, that's what we have tonight, folks. And who better to take charge of an industry in trouble than your federal government? The same people who spend $1 million a year on catfish genome research, but that's just the half of it. The president is also forcing the sale of Chrysler to the Italian car company Fiat. Now, when was the last time a president of the United States forced the sale of an American company to a foreign one? And this is just the beginning. The administration is on a mission to hijack capitalism in favor of collectivism, to turn health care into a nationalized affair, and to redistribute the wealth of America. The Bolsheviks have already arrived, and they're here. And what we're left with tonight is government running American business with your hard-earned tax dollars. Atlas, ladies and gentlemen, has shrugged. And joining me tonight is former Clinton advisor Dick Morris. By the way, you can get all his latest columns at dickmorris.com. They're all free. All right, I don't even know if I can come up with the proper adjectives to describe what is happening here and how dangerous this is. And that is, this is unprecedented. The Obama administration, a power grab of incredible proportions.
Well, I'll add a new adjective to your list, self-destructive. Because Colin Powell said when we invaded Iraq and toppled Saddam Hussein, if you break it, you own it, that we own Iraq. Well, he's now broken GM and he now owns it. And if General Motors continues to crash, which I think it will, and it runs through this money, which I think it will, who is going to be responsible for laying off 100,000 auto workers? President Barack Obama. Well, and otherwise, you leave it in private sector, they do the firings. He is going to have to actually close GM.
Well, that'll be interesting to see how the unions do. You know something, when you really think about it, with CAFE standards, economy standards, and safety standards, and the different rules for the different states as it relates to all these things, when you think about it, Washington, D.C. has already been running the car companies.
No.
And no, let me tell you why, Dick. They have been literally putting regulation and bureaucracy on these companies. It has hurt their industry. It's hurt their business. Their trade policy has hurt them.
Listen, there are two things that have hurt this car company. One is the stupidity of its management, and the other is the avariceness of its unions. The unions, far more than the government, have destroyed this company.
Well, where's the union head? Why wasn't he fired today?
Yeah, good point. Because he's the one that runs this company.
Sure.
And the only reason they're talking about bankruptcy or restructuring is to get out from under the union contracts.
The federal government, and I don't think I overstate this for our audience, is destroying our economic system as we currently know it. You have written that it's socialism, and it's mismanaged socialism.
Well, what it is he's deliberately making it fail. When he gets up there, Obama, and he says in December of this year, next year, Volcker is supposed to report on a sweeping overhaul of the tax code, and Geithner is proposing a sweeping overhaul of the regulatory structure. What businessman in his right mind is going to make an investment when he doesn't know the tax consequence and he doesn't know the regulatory consequence?
Look, here's what's frightening, and I think Americans tonight should be frightened, and that's why we're going to have a special Tea Party in Atlanta on April 15th. We'll give you more details later here. Spending trillions of dollars. Even David Broder of the Washington Post realizes it. The CBO says unemployment's going to hit nearly 10%, that we are going to have $1 trillion of debt a year here. But when we have the government, if they can do this to one corporation, if they can retroactively tax one group of individuals 90%.
And to everybody. And what does that say? Who's going to work for these banks? Who is voluntarily going to say, I'll limit my income to $200,000 a year? It sounds like a lot to the average family, but the people are getting paid $1 million and more a year. They're going to go to work for other companies and other industries. What you're basically doing is you're saying the whole banking structure is going to be run by college kids.
All right. Let me ask you this, because we got the G20 summit this week, and by the end of the week, folks, you're going to see the police and the clubbings and the beatings and the tear gas. It's all coming, as it already started. All right. His polls are dropping somewhat dramatically. We touched on it a little bit last week. So politically, as we begin the broader battle budget, he's going to go to the G20. What do you think the net result politically is for him with this maneuver and you know, now the gaffe after gaffe, now the mistake after mistake, broken promise after broken promise?
I don't believe that Obama is going to be brought down by process. Clinton could, or Bush Sr. could. But just like Bush Jr. could do a great job in every speech, but the body count at the end of the week in Iraq determined his fate, so when GM starts falling apart in 3 months, when the recession doesn't get any better in 3 months, when he proposes the health care stuff, when all of this happens, it's going to be on Obama's watch, and he's going to absolutely fall apart.
How effective, though? Because I have never in my life gotten so many emails, so much reaction. People telling me when we announced Friday that we were going to Atlanta on April 15th, they are excited. They want to be participants. They want to stop this. Now we're beginning the $4 trillion budget debate. Can the American people stop this monstrosity? Do they have the power to scare the living daylights out of these guys in Washington?
Oh, they do. The Achilles heel of the Democratic Party is that all of these guys and women who they depend on as the swing votes for domination ran as conservatives. They ran as moderates. And in fact, the American people need to understand it doesn't matter who your congressman is, it matters what his party is now. Because everybody's going to vote the way Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi tell them to, even if they campaign as moderates.
Dick, did you ever think in our lifetime we'd be getting lectures from the communist Chinese on capitalism, that Nicolas Sarkozy and other leaders of France, that we'd be getting lectures?
Be criticizing us for spending too much.
Criticizing America and warning America, interestingly, not to go down the path to socialism.
But there is a big thing that's going to happen in London at this G20, and then they're hiding it, they're camouflaging it, they're not talking about it. Coordination of international regulation. What they are going to do is to put our Fed and our SEC under the control, in effect, of the IMF.
Oh, come on.
They're
you believe they'll do this?
That's what was in the draft agenda. They call it coordination of regulation. What it really is putting the American economy under international regulation. And those people who have been yelling, oh, the UN's going to take over global
conspiracy
government.
Theorists.
They've been crazy, but now they're right.
Yeah, well, when Geithner said he would be open to the idea of a global currency last week.
Yeah.
Those conspiracy people had said and suggested that for years. Right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And you know, it's what they always do at these conferences is they have the center show is here, and the side show they don't want you to pay attention to. Right. The center show is the size of the stimulus packages. The real show is international regulation of the financial institutions, which is going to happen under the IMF control. And remember, the IMF is run by Europeans, the World Bank by Americans.
DickMorris.com. Thanks, Dick. Appreciate it.
I'm not a crook.